Hey y'all, I am returning to this space with something that's probably always ruminating in the back of my mind to some extent, in some way, shape, or form, but I guess had to verbally get this out before it jumbles back inside my mind. Uh, excuse me. Like a crossword puzzle, but yes, the space is a mess. Apologies, sometimes I have a debate about getting a background for this, uh, for my screen and everything, like I did in my last video with the green screen. But regardless, kind of testing things here or there. But yeah, what I wanted to briefly discuss today is um, recently I feel like more and more it's become so apparent that perfect is ultimately an illusion. It doesn't exist. There is no such thing as perfect. There's really so many phrases I could use with this, honestly, but how I think of it at this point is that I feel like it's just clicked more and more as minutes go by on a daily for me, and certain things I encounter at this point. It's like my mind is always, circling back and forth on one thing, whereas if I really take a step back from everything and view the bigger picture, it's so different. I always forget to separate myself from my thoughts because it's a totally different ballpark. It's like two identities, personalities, which is crazy because it's like, people are always like, you're not your thoughts, and it's like, yes, but how does that really look, or what does that mean, and I don't know the 100% what that is, but I'll do the best I can to visualize it and really work on it, right? But yeah, I feel like, I feel like everyone has already gone through this point, but, you know, pretty sure you know what I'm talking about, like you when you want everything to go well the way you want it to, and you want it to be perfect, right? You're always just like, you always find yourself saying like, oh my goodness, I need to this needs to be perfect or else it's over, everything is going to be ruined, or you always think the worst case scenario, if it's not this, then blank, right? Which, I get it. It is a very common human thing to say and think. But that is just that, some of you have already mastered this mindset, of course, which is awesome, It's I feel like all of us want to strive for that. But and I'm getting there, but it's like I really have realized, it's like the more for example, for me, the more I want something to be perfect, the more I will find fault in the little details. I don't see the bigger picture. I always think of the worst case scenario. And once again, this definitely goes hand in hand with overthinking and just circling back and forth over and over again with the pessimism too. This is all correlated. But all in all, my point is that it's like you always find yourself, regardless of what it is, if it involves financial aspects, relationship aspects, um, people included. I guess people is relationships, so I'll generalize it and say people. Places, events, things, anything you can think of in this world, whatever it is that you encounter on a daily basis in your entire life and existence. The more you want something to be perfect. And see, it's like expectations too, right? That is a false reality, a false notion. expectations is just like, it's just your fantasy, simply. So similar to perfection, right? Again, it's like, you know, it will never be perfect. And this is from my own like philosophy too. Like, you live how you want to live and think what you want to think. This is just me. But I feel like, most days I always spend so much time being scared of failing and focusing way too much on perfection and the outcome that I literally lose sight of myself and what's in front of me or just everything else. I only focus on the negatives or the what's missing, which, if I feel like many people can argue that that is the root cause of suffering, like you've probably heard before, always wanting something to be perfect or wanting more is just, it's like attachment. It's the root of suffering. You're always going to be unhappy with whatever it is. You're never going to be grateful or whatever, it's always, you always hear those different sayings, right? But yeah, mainly for this brief discussion, I just really had to get this out there. It's like, you always realize it, of course, and it's like, it's not an easy thing to really master, let alone like work on for yourself and for your own life, for the sake of your own sanity. So it's like, it's chasing perfection is like, yeah, it's literally like chasing happiness. Like, it's never achievable. It's you're trying to reach for something that is not obtainable. Because all that, really, if you think about it, is in your own head. It's never gonna be perfect. Nothing is perfect in life. Nothing. Any physical object, any metaphorical object, any meaning, any sort of significant idea or whatever, like anything in this world, this life, this universe, like, everything is what it is. And it's like, the more you want that to be what you expect and shape it into your idealistic reality or fantasy, that is just all, it's just simply, it's just not, it isn't that way, there's really not much we can do about it. It's, there's so many things you can, go on about this with, but yeah, mainly for this, this session, it's just more about like really taking a moment to just keep in mind, nothing will ever be perfect no matter how hard you try. Because if you think about it, for example, if you like are working on your I'm gonna take more of a popular maybe controversial example, like beauty standards, right? Women, for example, because that's just, feel like it's the most talked about in today's society, and ever since we can remember, I guess. But for example, like, this is something I've also really struggled with. It's been very hard in terms of like self-worth, self-confidence in my physical appearance, beauty, self-esteem, all of it, basically, all the things that you've heard. I've really struggled with it, and I won't get too much into those details, because that's really, if you think about it, in the past, what matters really now is what I do and what I choose to do, or how I choose to think, or, I have that power now, of course. But regardless, for example, you're always, how you're always unsatisfied with how you look. Like, you know, one example that I love that they in film that they visually did. I feel like I should have just done this on one of my other channels, but because I love film, I love everything about it, and love relating that um in many ways to life and just relating to it. Um, you know, so if y'all seen The Substance with Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley from 2024, one of my favorite body horror movies of all time, honestly. So great performances, man. I could just go on and on about that movie. But regardless, great movie, love it. One specific example, sorry to spoil, you can skip this part if you wanted, um, you know, want to go watch it or like don't want it spoiled. So, spoiler alert here. One amazing scene, very short, really, if you think about it, but it's a very intense, inaudible sequence, if anything, where Demi Moore's character, um, oh my goodness, it's been a while since I've seen it. Elizabeth Sparkle, right? Okay, so you know where she is going on a date with an old friend or old classmate or something. She's getting ready and she is in the bathroom mirror. You know, she's got her outfit on, all ready to go, putting on some makeup, last touches. And she's looking at the time. She's like, okay, I got a few minutes. Um, I'll be okay. So she does some last touch ups. Cool. She walks out the bathroom door, down the hall, and then she is right as she's about to open the door. She, you know, the the billboard of Margaret Qualley's character, Sue, right, is it is just haunting her in the background. She's just there, right? It's so effective because it's like it there's not a lot that's going on. It's a very simple linear sequence, but it is so hauntingly visually effective, right? So point being is that okay, I'll continue. That distracts her, and then she goes back to the bathroom again to continue. I don't know, modifying her makeup or whatever she's doing. She's comparing herself essentially to, you know, Sue, who is a younger, hotter, more perfect version, right? So this will make more sense if you actually watch the movie and know the storyline. I don't want to spoil anything else at this point. Just kind of describe that specific scene for this reference. But yeah, that happens, and she just literally goes back at least one more time, a total of 3 times back to the bathroom. And the final time, basically, to wrap this up, she is so fed up, she just ends up destroying all her makeup on her face, wrecking her hair, whatever it is. Basically, like, she's just so frustrated. She's so fed up. She's like, you know what? There's no point. No matter, she doesn't even have to say anything. But we all know as an audience that, as a viewer, that you're watching this madness, all these emotions, intensity unfold to where it's, you just realize, like, it's not going to be, it's like the message sends out from that scene is that it will never be perfect. So if anything, we'd rather destroy ourselves because we know that perfection is not obtainable. It's impossible. And so, yeah, from the scene, that's basically the whole gist of it, so she doesn't end up going on the date. She stays at home. She's just fed up. She's over it. She's just at a loss. She's utterly defeated and destroyed. Scene ends, right? So I'll stop it there. So that scene alone just literally goes on for maybe 3 or 4 minutes in total, So yeah, I wanted to use that specific example too, coming from a film fanatic myself once again, as a reference to visualize this and really have it hit more deeply and home. But yeah, point being is that is a good Like if you know that scene, right? You know what I'm talking about, and that is basically so many people. Unfortunately, that's the sad reality, but um you know, man, I could go on and on forever with this. I could, but I'd rather not, right? Because it's a lot to unpack, and it's just it's an endless topic that you could just spend hours and hours discussing. But overall, you could just apply this to your own life or just your own whatever it is, right? You know, if you realize that perfection, like it will never be perfect, you know, uh, so if you are content and satisfied and accept what is in front of you, and you don't try and try and try your damn hardest to perfect or modify or do something, which is always wanting more, like, man, it's psychologically and really philosophically, I guess to say the least, really changes you. It really like alters your perspective. It really makes you just, you know, proceed with clarity. Everything's not so muddled, not everything's so all over the place, and like it's just it's I don't know, you know. It's something that is not like, you know, you just kind of have to take it one step at a time, you know. It will never be, you know, exactly how you want it to be. But you know what? Like as long as you do what you think is best or what you need to do, or, you know, it's just that's just life, you know. You just all I can say is, right? It's there. I guess what I wanted to say too before is there's always going to be something that's wrong when you're trying to chase perfection, right? Or you want something to be absolutely perfect. It's just, there's always something that's going to be wrong. Because here's the thing, like, once again, if you think about this, it's the last analogy example I'll make for this one, but if you reach a goal of yours, I guess, if we're talking about physical beauty standards, once again, like, okay, so let's just say you want to get to a certain weight, right? Body weight. You achieve that, but then it's like, okay, you know what? You notice other parts that are wrong about you physically. Anywhere on your body, you know? You get to that weight that you are content with, and you think that will make you happier. You think that it'll make everything better. It'll solve all your problems. Sure, in that moment, it feels great, and that's a big accomplishment. Congratulations. But the thing is, you know, not everyone's the same, too. Some people, you know, might view it differently. But what I've seen is that, and realize is that even when you've reached something, you've accomplished something, there's always at that point going to be an endless loop of like, you know what, it could always be better. It could always be better. Or it's not good enough. It's not perfect enough. You know, I want it to be perfect. Like, see, like it's an endless route loop, I guess, of it never ends. It there will be more and more things that are wrong, and it will never end. And you know, this is not putting anyone at fault. This is just I'm me noting how society and how our world and how our system and processes are. And I mean, that's it simply is just like that. I mean, there's really not much we can do other than just really accept that and, you know, just press on, you know? You do what you got to do, and it's, you know, I mean, that's all I have for this video. I feel like if I went on with this, it could go on forever. I'm not trying to do that to y'all. I'm just stop it here and save y'all sanity for this one. But that's kind of what I wanted to go over for now in terms of that specific topic. It's a very intriguing topic to really, uh, you know, hash out to some extent. So I hope you got some insight from this, maybe some clarity, some inspiration, whatever it is, or just enjoyed listening. I do like talking about philosophical, Jesus, I can't talk, psychological topics like this in terms of us as people and lives, just in general. So yeah, sorry again for the mess in the background. I'm kind of like just, this is my space. I'm just kind of like being like a cat, I guess. But I hope you guys enjoyed this topic, and if you have any other comments, questions, feel free to leave them down below. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.